Welcome to your weekly dose of horror news and fun. This is episode 29 of TerrorVision Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Dan McGuinness, and joining me as always is my co-host, Jennifer, the Dream Warrior Strand. Together we are two people with a love of horror and feel the burn of our obsolete Blockbuster memberships. You can catch us weekly on all major podcasting services and on the YouTube. Jen, oh my god, our week has been like crazy.
We've had the McConaughey of weeks, Dan.
We have. For those who don't know, we live in Adelaide, Australia, and we went into a lockdown called a new type called a circuit breaker, which I don't think has been done in Australia.
I don't think so.
And
no.
Basically, that is everyone, every business has to shut down. Everyone has to go in their house. No one's allowed basically outside without a mask, and only one person is allowed to leave the house at a time, and it's only to go to the shopping, to go do grocery shopping, basically. It was a heavy lockdown. It was for 6 days, and then it got lifted after 2 days because they found out the person that, this new strand of corona actually just lied and just didn't do it because he was like something dodgy was going, like he was a drug dealer or he was cash in hand working, so he lied to the world and shut down the whole city and everyone. Now it's just gone back to normal, but that everything went crazy. Like it was like hours. It was like at midnight tonight, everything is shut down. Every business has to close. There was no like getting ready. The panic buying started happening, but it was too fast for like. It was I actually thought it was the best thing they could have done.
I kudos and hats off to our premier who was just like, nah, fuck this, lock it down. And I mean, kudos, like they've done a fantastic job. But yeah, so we're all in the mindset of having this lovely 6-day break, and now we're not. Yeah,
so we are doing this remotely today, so Jen's not in the studio because we're still actually on circuit breaker lockdown until midnight tonight. We're recording this on Saturday at the moment, so you guys will be hearing this on Tuesday when the lockdown is released. But at the moment, we had to do it, old remote style. So we apologise for the audio quality of this podcast, but we'll get back to it normal.
Or any missed cues or anything like that. It is a little bit trickier not to do it with Dan's beautiful face in front of me.
Yeah, true. Anyhow, let's go on. Oh, no, what have we been doing apart from that?
I mean, look, it's been a hectic week at work. The last of my major imports for before Christmas arrived, so that all got abandoned. And then, so we go into lockdown. It's been great. Like for 2 days, I've been wearing like track shorts and no bra. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, I recorded.
PS4 controller broke.
Oh, what? Why?
I know. It just stopped working. Because it's one of those weird Xbox style PS4 controllers. So it's a corded one. The cord fell out. Couldn't get it back in. So it's fucked.
Just buy a new one.
Yeah. Well, I will be. But yeah, so I've just been sort of sitting around watching YouTube videos of some guy talking about ghosts and demons. It's been great. And I actually caught a movie on Netflix called His House, which is really good. So if you have a spare moment, go watch it.
I will. I probably won't.
You probably won't.
Yeah, as you were saying before, I did my whole Hack the Dino show last night just in my jocks.
Nice.
Because the studio is quite warm, and we've got some hot weather here, and I had a t-shirt on because you had it filmed, but from waist down like a news reporter, I was just wearing nothing. It was amazing. Yeah,
no, it's been great. I cannot tell you. So now I definitely feel robbed of 6 days of no bra and no pants. But
yeah, same here. I moved my PlayStation 4 from the studio into the house, got all the games ready, that I hadn't finished or they're on my shame pile. I started playing Ghost of Tsushima again. I was really into it. I was back in. I'm like, this is fun. I got 6 days of this. I still had to look after my baby, and with Claire working at home, I actually had less time than I usually do. But I still made out. Yep. But and then all of a sudden it's just like, no, lockdown's off, and I was so angry at that pizza shop for almost taking away my like 6-day like holiday. But then again, I had customers coming in and like they work in essential services and they've never had any days off since like Corona started. So they're like,
Yeah.
you know, they're the type of people who want days off. So they're like, all my mates are like, you know, hanging at home, drinking beers, and I'm always at work. Like, more now. He was spewing.
Well, it's so strange because, I mean, you're technically a small business as well, and this shutdown has caused stress, obviously. But now, so, you know, we've had the stress of that, then we've gone into, well, there's nothing we can do about it. We've got 6 days of relaxation. But I don't know about you, like, as soon as they said that it was lifted, I just went into stress mode because, now I've got to do the rostering. Now I've got to do this. I've got to do this. And then all the emails came flooding in. And then, you know, I'm just trying to put out all these fires everywhere. Like, oh, okay, well, I've got to now say that we're open and this and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't feel very relaxed right now.
You had a big Pokemon thing on Friday, didn't you? Like a release of a big set or some shit.
Yes, the Vivid Voltage Pokemon. So we had a lot of people calling up on Friday. I don't even know what day it is right now. What day did we go into lockdown? Asking if we could A, release it early, and then B, abusing us because we weren't going to be open on the Friday for them to get it. So
that's all right.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyhow,
here we go.
Let's just cut off what we've done for this week and go straight into horror news. So every week, me and Jen take you through the horror news that you need to know about. Welcome to Horror News! That was a weird werewolf, wasn't it?
He was a bit shivery and a bit cold.
It is, yeah. He was in a cold place. All right, what's the first story, Jen?
All right, well, guys, Scream Watch 2020. It's been a while. So Scream 5 has officially wrapped filming, which is fantastic news. That just seemed to go by real quick.
Yeah, I thought he didn't even know that it was like... I thought he thought they were still casting people.
No, apparently it's all done. So it's all done. And Kevin Williamson has officially revealed that the title will simply be called Scream.
Scream. Now, that's it.
This news has caused a lot of debate and comment on the Twitters and any kind of forum that I'm linked to on Facebook or whatever. People are mad about it.
Lots of Scream discourse.
Yeah, so they're like, it should be just Scream 5 or Scream with the S as a 5. And what fucking marketing dickhead did this?
Yeah, why didn't they do that? Like we've gone over this. There were plenty of opportunities here to do a great thing, but they've just gone Scream just to confuse everyone. That's reboot material.
Well, this is the thing, the Scream franchise is very meta, so it is all about commentary on films at the time, so it kind of makes sense to me that they've just calling it Scream because, you look at what's happened in the past, we've had the Halloween reboot, just called Halloween. Candyman reboot, just called Candyman. None of these films are really sort of trying to call it anything other than what it is. So, on the one hand, I can see what they're doing. On the other hand, I can see why everyone's mad. Yeah,
I suppose when you say it's a 25-year-old film, like pulling, because like stuff lasts a lot longer these days. Have you noticed? Like
it has, yeah.
Like everything lasts a lot longer. So franchises can go forever now. Like remember it was like back in the day, it was like, ooh, Friends and The Simpsons have been going for like blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, but actually The Simpsons are still going, but now it's not. People get upset if their TV shows don't go for 10 seasons and stuff like that, like 10 years worth of work for these people. So I think this might be cool, like the idea. And the fact is that we are in a different landscape of horror now, so you may actually have to reboot it. Scream may have to be vastly different from what it ever was before to fit into the horror genre that we have now compared to 25 years ago.
Yeah, it's a very interesting sort of concept, and I like that people have become less excited that this film has finished wrapping, like it's finished filming. So, it's another year until we get, another year and a bit until we get final product, but people have chosen to just be mad about this one little aspect of it.
Yeah, right. And we got the photo of, is that the director, that guy?
Well, that's Kevin Williamson. He is the screenwriter, so he did the original Scream movie.
Oh, okay, cool. And with Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell. That photo, like, kind of says it's a photo of them taking a selfie of themselves, which is weird. But yeah, man.
Yeah, so someone's taking a photo of them taking a photo of them.
I had the hardest crush on Neve Campbell when I was younger. I had all like a rolling. Yeah, and I'm gonna say like, and she still looks like she's just maintained to be the perfect age for me in every decade.
Yeah, she looks good. Yeah, she was I think she was one of my biggest like first crushes ever, and it never went away.
Biggest first girl crush.
Yes, I think my first girl crush was Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, but...
Oh, really? That was terrible.
7-year-old me didn't think it was terrible.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm 1,000 more years older. But, all right, so that's great. Like...
Yeah.
It's funny,
I'm excited.
It's funny, like, the title of the iHorror article is like, Kevin Williamson reveals the official title for Scream 5, and then it says Scream. As in, like, it is theoretically Scream. So it's not Scream 5 then? Like, it's not Scream 5?
No. It will be titled Scream, and no 5 in replacing an S. It's just Scream.
I wonder if it will be, like, in continuity or about 100% out of continuity. So it's playing on the out of continuity film. Like, it might exist in a different, like, Happy Death Day, like, parallel dimension.
Well, it is the Happy Death Day people. No, it's not. It's the Ready or Not people, which was also a great film. Yeah, I don't know. We'll soon see.
Mate,
I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. What's next? What else has been happening?
Okay, so Black Friday. Holiday shopping goes to hell for Bruce Campbell and Devon Sawa. Do you remember Devon Sawa, Dan?
No.
No?
What should I?
Devon Sawa was a bit of a heartthrob in the 90s. He was in Casper. He played the Casper's real-life boy self. He's in Final Destination, Idle Hands, and he does have a role in Fred Durst's The Fanatic, which was a load of shit.
Who was he in Idle Hands? Was he the main character?
He's the main character, yeah.
Yeah, right. I didn't... Nah, like, I know all those films and that, but his face is so generic that it must have just off the radar for me. Compared to Bruce Campbell's face, it's a pretty hard thing to go against.
Well, this is true. I mean, Devon Sawa is a lot older now, and he's buff as shit. Like, he looks good for his age.
Yeah, man.
Not that he's that old, but anyway.
I think that he's my age.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know ages.
Hollywood
people are just anomalies.
True.
So this movie, it's set on the busiest shopping night of the year, Black Friday. The story follows a group of disgruntled toy store employees who have to defend themselves from legions of holiday shoppers when a mysterious alien parasite sends them on a murderous rampage.
Oh, dude, this sounds wicked fun.
Wicked fun. Yes, and funny enough, it shoots November 16 in Boston.
Oh, nice.
Wicked fun. I'm very excited. So you had me at Bruce Campbell. Add in Devon Sawa. I'm okay. I'm there with him as well.
Yeah, and they can, like, because it's like playing on the Black Friday thing of, like, you know, the parasitic zombie likeness of people anyway. The zombies are just going to still have that urge to shop and get things. And, like, you know, like, it'll just... So they'll be able to do these, like, super good commentaries on, like, retail and stuff like that and on the shopping, like, culture. So it might be really fun. And the fact they're in a toy store just made me love it so much more.
Yeah, I know. It resonates a little bit deeper with people like us, I think.
And then popping Bruce Campbell into basically... it's Bruce Campbell in a zombie thing. So, like... It's what he does. Like, I'm down.
I'm scratching that itch.
Oh man, it's gonna be great. It could be great. Like, it could be one of those, you know, really meta great fun films that we all love, and could end up being one of those like classics. I mean, you could say that about every film, but this has a lot more ingredients in it to create something than a usual just like. What was that one we talked about the other day that had like. That that zombie one with the girl on the cover. I can't remember what it was called.
The Night of the Living Dead one.
Yeah, like this has
the remake.
Yeah, this has a lot more better ingredients to create a better classic cake. You know what I mean?
Okay, classic cake, you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm always hungry for cake. So, yeah, I'm definitely keen to keep an eye on this one. Hopefully some trailers. I mean, it started filming like a couple of days ago, so knowing our luck, it'll be ready to go before Black Friday drops. And then we can watch it and we'll be like, fuck, that was great. And then we'll spoil it for everyone.
Because it's like a sci-fi horror. I got vibes of like The Faculty. Like
I love The Faculty.
When you said that, like, you know, like the parasitic horror. And what was the other one? Slither as well. And Night of the
Slither.
Creeps. They're all parasitic sci-fi horrors, I feel. Yeah, it's got everything written all over it.
Classics.
They should
it's got...
I should get Tom Atkins in it for no reason.
Put Tom Atkins in everything, guys.
I know. Or at least put his moustache in everything and just he doesn't have to rock up.
Now starring Tom Atkins' moustache.
I'll go watch it. Just starring. Just, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic.
Well, what day is Black Friday? Because I was trying to work one out. I was thinking, like, should I have a Black Friday sale for my shop? We have always gone really, really well in the past. But I'm up to the point now where I'm like, I don't want to sell any of my stuff at the moment cheaper because I've got really good stuff in the shop. And we're not in, like, you know, we just feel like we don't need to do it at the moment because we're in like, quite a good position. And I'm like,
yeah.
What
No.
is there any point in just getting rid of stuff cheap that I could just be selling normally?
Well, this is the thing. So we're also in a very similar position. We don't need to be doing it. We're also, guys, we're Australian. We do not need to be celebrating Black Friday because also you have to remember that in America, the way their cost of living versus the cost of items, it's very different to how we do things. So they can, you know, drop the price of a TV down a ridiculous amount. We really can't do that kind of stuff here. So the fact that all these people are, you know, coming through, and especially with the smaller businesses demanding that they have sales that we really don't need to be having, it kind of annoys me a little bit.
The idea of
entitled theory.
The idea of Black Friday is to get rid of dead stock. But we don't have any.
We don't have any dead stock.
Yeah, you guys kind of did your dead stock sale recently.
We've done a lot of different sort of sales recently, and so we really don't need to be doing more. And I also feel that Black Friday was yesterday.
Oh shit, was it?
Quite possibly.
Was it really? Oh, that's great.
I don't know.
Great. I mean, didn't even have to think about it. I'm going to look it up. Yeah. Black Friday date. Is it really? November 27. Oh, damn it. It's like next week.
It's this week. Son of a bitch. Okay, well, we're still not doing it.
All right.
Like, if anything, I'll go through and look at shit that hasn't sold in the last 12 months, and then, you can have that for the half price. I don't know.
We just don't have that because, like, with the first pandemic rolled in, we couldn't get stock. So we basically sold out of our whole shop. We finally got all new stock back in. So it's all brand new stock. There's no point in selling it cheap because we just got it all back in from, like, emptying out. And you never know what can happen. I don't want to empty my shop and then have suddenly another COVID happens.
Exactly. Also, just, remember that we're Australia. We don't have to celebrate Black Friday.
True. I know, though, that there are going to be a lot of cool Black Friday sales on, like, digital game stores, like the Switch and stuff like that. So I'm going to probably have a look at that. That doesn't actually help you.
It doesn't help me. That's fine.
Oops.
Like, I'll probably look at other places like, oh, hey, there's some vinyl on sale. Yep, sure. Bring me some vinyl. It's gonna be great.
If you go vinyl shopping, remember to take me.
Always.
All right, cool. Let's move on. What's next?
Cool.
In the horror.
So this one just dropped 7 hours ago. So while we were sleeping, Robert Englund joins Stranger Things 4 as a disturbed man imprisoned for a gruesome murder.
So he's acting.
He's acting.
I suppose that makes sense.
Yes.
He is an actor. It's right. That's cool. That's a good like cameo to get into old Stranger Things. I really enjoy Stranger Things.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love it.
I like that every season has a different vibe of horror. They've tried to encapsulate a genre in every season. I kind of like a subgenre, sorry. I really like that in them. And then when people are like, oh, I didn't like it. It wasn't like the first one, mate. It's because it's not supposed to be. It's like the next homage. Like, and this one is homaging this like kind of thing. And you know what I mean? Like, I really enjoy them. Like, what could they do now, though?
Well, that's the thing. Where are they going to go to now? And this character, so Englund will be playing a recurring role of Victor Creel, a disturbed and intimidating man who is imprisoned in a psychiatric hospital for a gruesome murder in the 1950s. So he's been in hospital for like 30 years. This is going to be interesting. Is like, why is he becoming a reoccurring character?
Well, they can be playing on the slasher vibe because they haven't done slasher yet. They've done like
no.
So they could be playing on the vibe of like the unstoppable slasher that keeps coming back. So he could just keep turning up in every season, and they just have to get rid of him quickly. Like that would be a cool idea. That he's that whole thing of like the unkillable like slasher. Yeah, like Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers. He could become one of them, which is a cool idea. Which they haven't homaged yet.
Well, this is the thing. Well, hopefully we'll start seeing this stuff sort of starting to roll through. I'm very excited about this. And season 4, they keep saying it's shaping up to be the biggest and most frightening season yet.
I don't need frightening. I want funny and interesting, like the first one. Like
first one was perfect.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what ones are which, but there've been 3, has there? What was the last one? Oh, it was the big monster. What was the second one? Little monsters.
Yeah, there was 11 had gone off to find her sister.
Oh, 6?
Kind of. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't as strong, but I mean, the first season was pretty near perfect, I think.
Yeah, cool. So, that sounds wicked fun.
Wicked.
Damn
right.
And like Robert Englund, you can't go wrong.
No. Well, this is true. It's Robert Englund. I want to see him in everything.
Yeah, sick. Same here. All right, let's go. Oh, well, that's the end of the news today. I don't think there's much more to say about that, do you?
No.
Yeah, it's just like that's a cool idea, and we could go on forever how much we like Stranger Things, but we won't. We'll go straight into homework. So every week, Jennifer and I set ourselves a horror movie to watch, and then we go through it scene by scene the next week and spoil the fuck out of it for all you guys. Yes, basically by the end of this section, if you haven't seen this film, you won't need to see it. It's my new schnick. We have a rating system. Do you want to go over it, Jen? A special TerrorVision rating system, which I played a bit of this to Braden at my work the other day. And he, as in one of our episodes, the last one, Blood Diner, and he loved it. And he loved the rating system. He was like...
Oh, fantastic.
And he was like, it's like I've watched that film now. Like, because I have no idea what that film was, but I know everything about it.
And I don't ever have to watch it again.
Yeah. So what is our rating system that Braden Dixon from Millennial Movie Talk loves so much?
All right, so we have the A, awesome, everybody should watch. B is the Beer and Chicken Wing group movie. We've got F for fun and dumb. C, it's a classic that's worth a watch. We've got the U, it's underrated. G, good for its time but has not held up. We've got the J, the Jen special. The D, the Dan special. We've got a W, whatever, so off my radar. We've got the Kesha, which is a low-budget hot mess. We've got the S, which is shit, avoid it. And we've got the McConaughey, which is the fucking fucked.
We could almost just get rid of shit avoid, which is that McConaughey is the same one.
Yeah, I feel that McConaughey encapsulates all of that.
Yeah, I'm going to get rid of shit. So that's what's cool about TerrorVision. We can do shit on the fly. We can. There's no rules. We're a Pepsi no rules generation.
I feel that we're the Kesha of podcasts.
Exactly. And so this week we watched Braindead, also known as Dead Alive in the States. That was because there was like a Bill Paxton one, which I actually came across while like researching this for the first time. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, so like 2 years before there was a movie called Braindead with Bill Paxton in it, so they in America, so they had to change it to Dead Alive. Dead Alive. I don't know. I would have called it maybe Alive Dead. No, Dead. Yeah, it's a weird name, Dead Alive. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue very well, I've always felt.
No, it doesn't. But now it's like just synonymous with this film. Yeah. So
there are also like many, many versions of this film out there, eh? Like so many different weird cuts and stuff. Some just have like some Australian jokes taken out of them. All of them basically have the pedophile joke taken out of it. And the necrophilia joke, every American version, they just probably couldn't handle that. which we will get into when they come into it. I'll mention them. So, what are its vital statistics, Jen?
Okay, so Braindead AKA Dead Alive, released in 1992, directed by Peter Jackson. So this is a film from New Zealand. Which is fantastic, and it helps this film so much.
You may know Peter Jackson from small films like the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh yeah,
but
he did that little thing. Yeah, that's fine.
You haven't watched? Have you watched Bad Taste?
I couldn't tell you if I've seen it or not.
All right, so as soon as we get out of lockdown, you're coming to my house and we're watching Bad Taste. That should be.
Done.
That movie is like Brain Dead, but like it's like the ultimate low budget hot mess, Kesha.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Like, I'm pretty certain I have, but also I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
it would have been years ago. So, directed by Peter Jackson, screenplays by Stephen Sinclair, Fran Walsh, and Peter Jackson. It is starring Timothy Blame and Diana Penelope. Yeah.
Penelope.
So she's
Penelope. Yeah. Yeah, anyhow.
That gal. The budget is... They had a budget of $3 million, and the US box office was... What was that?
240,000. They didn't even make $500,000 back.
Damn.
So...
That's a shame.
In retrospect, a total failure, this film, but turned into be a huge cult classic.
Oh my god,
but,
yes.
I mean, it's probably always great to have a cult classic under your belt, but you kind of want it to at least cut even.
I feel that it probably has probably not made that money back over the years, but it certainly has. It's highly sought after now, and then there's all the releases and oof.
I found it really hard to even watch this film, and then I just realised recently, just this morning, that there is a perfect copy on just YouTube.
Which is how I had to watch it.
Yeah, because I've got it on DVD as Dead Alive. I used to own it on VHS as Brain Dead, and it had one of those puffy covers, you know, where they're like, as in like it's a plastic mold, the cover, so it was all like 3D.
Yep.
Apparently DX from Starblaze Collectibles says that's one of the big hitters in like VHSs because it was like Australian low run and that. And I think he may have sold a copy the other day for like $750. That's as much as a PlayStation 5 that VHS goes for.
Well, jeez.
So yeah, and
I know what I'd rather have.
Yeah, Brain Dead, obviously.
Yep. Yes.
So yeah, sorry. You're going on, sorry?
No. I was moving into the synopsis.
Oh yeah, let's go. What is the synopsis of this
all right
film?
So, tagline: some things won't stay down, even after they die. When a Sumatran rat monkey bites Lionel Cosgrove's mother, she transforms into a zombie and begins killing and transforming the entire town while Lionel races to keep things under control.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate. Yep.
I'll give it that. Oh man, this film. I was so happy to do this. I have the most notes I've ever written because this film, I have 4 pages of notes of dot points. So do you.
Yeah, for about 4 pages. I love this film, and I was so excited and then so pissed off that we went into lockdown because I knew that doing this film remotely wouldn't have the same kind of like
oomph
as it would be if we were in person. But I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited as well. This movie, just off the bat, has without a doubt the most practical effects I've ever seen in any film. Like, it's crazy the amount of effects in this film. And it's also what carries this film is the crazy continuity in this film is ridiculous. Like, the way... There's never a point at any point in the film, you know, in horror movies like this, you often see makeup changes and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, one of the biggest culprits is Evil Dead 1. They constantly just, every shot they look different. Like, in this, man, like, the continuity is bonkers. And, like, and all the characters are also, like, slowly rotting and transforming and just it works. Like, oh.
Yes. Yep. It works so hard for me.
Okay, let's get into it. Opening shot opens on Skull Island in 1957. So this is actually a period piece. This is set in 1957, which is such a strange year to like set a film straight away. So straight away, like, not only is he making it hard for himself, making it period piece, like he's making it period piece in bloody New Zealand.
So, Skull Island, as we know, is a reference. So Peter Jackson was a huge fan of the 1933 King Kong movie, which is why he's referred to it as Skull Island. Now, as many of you know, Peter Jackson also went on to remake King Kong in 2005. So
yeah,
big fan.
Big fan. Is that the? Yeah, that's the one that's got Jack Black in it and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that bug scene in that film when they're all fighting the bugs. As unrealistic as it was, and then you got is it Adrian Brody as well? You're up against like the chiseled man, such a thin chiseled man.
They were trying to make him a heartthrob, and it just wasn't working for him.
No, he is a heartthrob to me. And then he went into Splice and he had sex with a weird monster.
That's just weird.
So we're opening Skull Island, 1957. We've got two guys running down like a beach carrying a wooden cage or a wooden crate kind of thing. Mm-hmm. One of them is Peter Jackson.
Is it Peter Jackson?
Yeah, that guy is definitely Peter Jackson. The guy's like, I'm a New Zealand zoo official, and this guy's coming to Newport. That's Peter Jackson. That's definitely Peter Jackson. He plays a couple of roles in this film. Yeah, he's not credited as that character, but that is definitely Peter Jackson. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me, but it looks exactly like him, and, you know, that's the kind of role he would play. So, yeah.
Fair.
So they're running, two of these guys, they get stopped by these natives, which, where was it set? Where was Skull Island? What did you say? Sumatra. I don't know where that is. Where is that? Is that in, like...
Another country.
Yeah, you don't know either. We're assuming it's an island that has natives, like very stereotypical, like Zulu-looking natives. Would you call them?
Yes. Yeah, I'd refer to them as that. Yes, definitely.
So they get stopped by them, and he gives this lie, and is like, well, he's got like a guide with him, and he's like, you know, it's cursed, and he goes like, he holds up this, you know, permit, and he's like, this is a permit. He's like, yeah, I'm a New Zealand zoo official, and this monkey is going to Newtown. And then he pulls out a machine gun and fires over all that.
Machine gun. Starts like rat-a-tatting everywhere, and you know they run off. And then he just cuts the strings of this crate that it was originally a two-man job. He just hoiks it over his shoulder and just starts running down the hill back towards the truck. The Jeep, just like, you know, it's not heavy anymore. I've got this. This is mine.
It's fine. They jump into their Jeep with their crate, and they all speed off away from the natives, and suddenly the cage falls on his face, and whatever's inside of it bites him.
Yeah.
Bites the New Zealand zoo official, which is all we know of. And the dudes so the hired help that he's got there in the Jeep, they stop the Jeep and they kick him out. He goes, "You're cursed. You've got the bite."
Yep.
And he says that line like, "Oh, there's some Dettol in the Jeep." Dettol? That's such a... Is that an Australian brand?
I think it is.
So no one will get that.
My audio cut out a couple of times watching this, so all I saw was them kicking him out of the truck and then immediately grabbing this huge fucking axe thing and hacking his hand off.
Yeah, because they have a...
Meanwhile, he's like trying to say something, and I'm like, I don't know what he's saying. It's fine.
Because there's heaps of comedy in this film. So at first they're like... So they see like a scratch on his hand, and they're like, the bite or whatever, and they chop his hand off, and then they see another one on his like other arm, and they're like, oh, the bite, and they chop his arm off, and then they see one on his head, and they're like, the bite, and then they go to chop his head off, and then that like splats in like the going down motion splats on the screen. It cuts to like a splash on the screen, which originally said Braindead, but in this one it says Dead Alive, and then blood. Like, it was a very cool opening, and it really sets the tone of the cheesiness of the comedy. Yeah. And this is like a horror comedy, how a horror comedy should be. This isn't like Blood Diner comedy. Like, this is good comedy. Yeah.
This is near perfection.
Then we cut to the cage getting loaded onto a plane where the instead of him like delivering it, his guides have delivered it, and they've picked up the cash for it. So they're like, we can get some money out of this, even though we don't agree with it. Let's give this this crate to the plane. It's going to get delivered to New Zealand.
Yeah.
So that's how
it's on its way.
So it gets delivered to New Zealand. We get like one of those Indiana Jones styles, like plane flying across the world kind of thing. And that's it, really.
Yep.
And then
it rocks up at
we're introduced
Wellington Zoo.
Yeah. And it gets put into Wellington Zoo, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it's forgotten about. And then we get introduced to our first character, which is Paquita.
We love Paquita.
Yeah. So where is she? You can run with this.
So Paquita, she works in this little grocery shop, and she's got this mad crush on the bacon delivery driver. And so she's like, oh, her nonna sort of sees her, and she's like, okay, so you like this boy? And she's like, yes, very much so. I love him. She's like, come on, and then they do a tarot reading.
Yeah, I called her the mystic grandmother.
Mystic grandmother. I love it. So they're going through, and it's like, oh, the next man, the man you will meet will be your true love for the rest of your life, kind of thing. So he will be like a black knight, and this, and all these sort of little things that will factor into you meeting the man of your dreams. Because unfortunately, love, the bacon delivery driver is not the man for you.
It's not him. No. The bacon delivery driver, I just left him out of my notes completely. I found him like inconsequential too, and I knew there was going to be a lot to this. So yeah. So
there's so much to this.
She basically finds out that her love of her life is going to be introduced to her through a symbol, which is it's like a star with a half moon crescent like kind of symbol.
Yes. Yep.
And then someone comes into the shop, and she has to leave the tarot reading, and we get introduced to Lionel, who is the next main character, who is there to
So Lionel's there to deliver the grocery list for his mother. So Lionel he's very nerdy. He has mad Norman Bates vibes. The whole character, the whole mother situation, it's very Norman Bates.
So Lionel's there to pick up stuff for his mum, which he lives with, who is a total dominating, overpowering mum. That he is like, and she's one of those mums that never wants to lose her child, so she does stuff, kind of those
manipulates the Munchausen's kind of thing.
Yeah.
Paquita's already sick of his shit, as because she was in the middle of having her tarot done. He comes to the counter. He's already knocked a couple of things off the shelves. Just his nervousness. He's very sort of overly acted and very nervous. He's
a lovable bumbling fool.
He is very lovable. He, of course, goes to grab something off the counter, which, if you notice, is a Black Knight licorice.
Oh.
Which, Black Knight in the tarot, Black Knight licorice, that's a sign to me. He knocks over a bunch of shit, and then she grabs him, he grabs her, and you discover that underneath all the mess that he's made it's a star.
It's a star and the crescent moon made out of pencils and licorice.
Yes.
Which is a symbol. So she's like, oh, you're my true love. And up until this point, she actually thought he was annoying. And like, wait.
Yeah.
So love is a fickle thing.
How quickly that light switch turns on.
Yeah, I know. And anyhow, so she's worked out that that's her true love. And then he leaves, basically, and she goes home. Then we're introduced to Lionel's mum, which I've just called Mum, but her name's Vera.
I referred, because she was this whole situation is very Norman Bates and very psycho. I just referred to as mother throughout the rest of my notes.
Right near the end of the film, they say Vera some funny way, so I was like, oh yeah, I gotta call it. We gotta mention her names here. We're introduced to Vera. She's like, this they live in a big house, like in New Zealand, in is it Newport? Is that where it is?
Wellington,
sorry.
Yes.
And then and then she gets a letter saying like the WA are going to come visit her, which is, what was that stand for? The Women's Association?
I think it's like the Wellington Women's Welfare Association. As in, like, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, no, it's just like an upper crust organisation, and they're going to come and visit her because she's going to be like initiated as their one of their a position in it. She's usually happy about that.
Yeah. She's very well to do, very wealthy, so high standing in the town kind of
I
thing,
thought she was really well cast. I thought like
Oh, she was great.
yeah,
I
like,
loved her.
and the fact that she is this lady, and then the stuff she had to do later on in this film is pretty fun. I mean, later on that
Right?
might not have been her, but like yeah, there were some parts that it was her.
Yeah, no. Everyone in this film was a good sport.
Yeah. And then anyhow, so then we have Paquita rocks up at Lionel's house to deliver the groceries that he had ordered
Yes.
for his mum. And she talks to Lionel out the front, and because she's like into him, she basically asks him out for a date to the zoo.
They have a bit of an awkward flirt, and it's super adorable.
Yeah, like she makes out that she like has a bit of a conversation barrier, and like twists his words into him asking her out on a date. I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, she's clever. She's wily. I like it.
Yeah, she was.
Of course, Mother does not approve.
Yeah, she's like, you look in the window going, he's going to take my son away. Anyway, we cut to the zoo, the Wellington Zoo, which we all know is where the crate was delivered to. And then we get so they're loving, the mum's kind of watching them hiding in the bushes. They're like on a normal date, and suddenly they said the monkeys. Oh, let's look at the monkeys, and then we're introduced to the main monkey, which is the rat monkey. Which is stop motion, which I absolutely loved. There's a little bit of stop motion in this film, which makes it amazing. Every good horror movie needs a little bit of stop motion in it.
Agreed.
It's weird.
So this little
him and Sam
monkey-
Raimi have a really same vibe of making films. Do you notice? Like their horror films, they put a little bit of stop motion in, a little bit of that when they go. Did you notice that a lot of the outside shots with the trains were models in this film?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you're going to mention
It was
that.
all very well done, I think. Like, everything he did was very well thought out, very well planned, and then definitely very well executed. I don't think there was any time that you were like, oh, that doesn't look right.
Yeah, and they had bits where he'd composed a model where Lionel was driving and he looked out the window and you see his view from out the window, the outside of the shape of the window of the car, and outside is a model. But you can't tell because it's such a quick shot. And I reckon that's for his period piece-ness of it. Like, there would have been shots that had bits in it where he just replaced it with, a train set, basically. But it looked really good.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that would have been... Because if it was anything else, it would have really taken away from the film. Because I think the period piece, the fact that it was in the 50s really sort of helped it a lot. Like, I feel that it probably wouldn't have had the same gusto as if it was sort of set in the 90s when it was actually released.
Yeah, and also you've got, period piece New Zealand, which is, just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Australia. So you're getting this, look into how New Zealanders / Australian people kind of acted in the 50s. Like, they are a different breed of people, how, especially with the party scene at the end, how they all are, all the party goers are full-on just, ochre kind of people. But anyhow, we get introduced to the stop motion rat monkey who attacks one of the spider monkeys and eats it, pulls off its arm and eats it.
Yep. Yeah, and then the zookeeper comes along and he's like, fucking rat monkey. It's like, get back in there, you fucking rat monkey. And then sort of gives them a bit of a spiel about the rat monkey. It's weird, it's not good, it's cursed or whatever.
Rumor has it, the rats came off the slave ships and raped all the spider monkeys. And that's how they made the rat monkey.
And that's how that happened. Yes.
And then so date goes on, and then the mum's looking at Lionel and Paquita, and she backs back to hide, and she gets too close to the spider monkey, the rat monkey cage, and gets bitten by the rat monkey. It wrenches her arm.
So yeah, she slips down. She slips on something, falls, gets bitten by the monkey, and then decides she's going to fucking kill the monkey. So she squishes its head with her high heels. Yeah. And it's at this point, it's the goo popping out, and this eyeball pops out, and all this stuff, and squishes it dead. People at this point have all turned and are looking at her, being very. She's a well-to-do woman, and there's this well-to-do woman let loose, killing this poor animal. Why would you do that? And she's like, I've been savaged. Oh, my arm. Lionel, take me home.
Yeah, so she uses the opportunity to ruin the day. While this is all happening, it's also juxtaposed to flashbacks of the old grandmother the mystic grandmother, continuing the tarot read that she didn't finish earlier, and she's pulling up all these cards like death, despair, like all the worst cards, and she's going, oh my god, like, you know, it's doomed, like, so it didn't get finished. So he may have been her, you know, her knight in shining armor, but it also, the story ends with death and despair and that, and so
yeah,
we're introduced
pretty
to
much
that part of it, and then it cuts to the next morning. You know, Lionel puts his mother to bed, and then like it's nighttime.
Yeah, so then we have this, like, strange... So they go home, the nurse sees to the mother. The mother's being a total arsehole, as always. Like, you know, this girl's not good enough for you. You know, you'll never have anything. Like, your mother is your best friend. You know, every boy needs... Yeah, that old chestnut. He tucks her in for the night, and then Paquita arrives with his jacket, like the precious summer flower that she is. He tries to turn her down, like a bit of a dickhead. Then they kiss. And then there's this weird sort of montage sex scene versus mum starting to transform in the next room. And then there's like pus shooting out of her wound.
She's got like a zombie fever, so she's transitioning into you know that thing, and her arms going pulsating. You see it under the bandage, and then
it looks so good.
Right at like, you know, the end of like their kind of their sexy moment, like the pus just bursts out all over the mirror, and there's a lot of pus in this film.
Yes,
like for a chunk of it, I call it like the pus period of the film. Like there's,
yes,
which I'm glad didn't go the whole film because it is sickening. There is a bit in it. In the next scene. So then we get the morning, you know, like Lionel comes in, his mum's all like sick, and he's like, oh my god, mum, are you okay? Like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and then suddenly there's a knock at the door, and it's the WWWA, whatever it's called, people to have their lunch and interview with her, and she's like, oh no. So she gets...
which is...
Yeah?
I'd like to point out that this film is so quotable as well, and... You know, Lionel's like, Mum, they're here. And he's like, she immediately jumps out of bed, starts trying to put on her face. And she's like, I've got to get dressed. This has to happen. And then she just goes, oh.
Yeah, she goes to put on...
Half of her pace is filled off.
Yeah, so she goes to put on, is it a rouge pen that they rub in? On her cheek, and it pulls all the skin of her face off. But he just goes in and grabs glue and glues her skin back on.
Yep.
Man, and this is where you start getting
this back on.
This is where you start getting the gross humor and hilarious humor as well. Like,
oh yes.
And then you get the lunch scene, which is fucked. So Vera's at the end transforming into a zombie at this meeting, like trying to talk, going like they're asking her all these questions, and she's trying to answer, going like, "Oh, annual meeting, oh," and she's slowly deteriorating to the point where, like, I think her ear falls off into her meal.
Yeah, at one point, so they've had their general meal, and the woman that's arrived with her husband, she's ready to go. Like, something ain't right. She's uncomfortable, and he's just like, "What? No dessert?
Yeah.
Where's my pudding?"
No, but first her ear falls into the meal, and she eats her own ear in front of the lady. But the husband doesn't notice any of this stuff.
Because it falls into the custard, so there's no pudding. Lionel brings out this custard, and some of the pus sprays out of Vera's wound into the husband's custard, and he's eating it, going, rich and creamy.
Yeah.
Then her ear falls out into her custard. She eats her own ear and then spits out the earring.
Oh man, such a great scene. Like the custard bit,
It
like
is incredible.
her arm pussing into the dude's custard, and you see it, and he's not looking. You just see him get the whole spoonful of pus, like reddy orange pus, and just put it into and just eat it up. And the because his wife sees that and just runs out, and then he's like, "Oh, women, whatever."
And they're like, "Oh, yep, fine meal, my boy, fine meal. You've outdone yourself."
Like, this is all just gravy as well, because like none of these scenes had to be in it.
No,
it's just like Peter Jackson's going crazy. So that's the end of that scene. It was just a fun comedy. There's a bunch of comedy scenes in this irrelevant to the story, especially later on we get to the baby walking scene.
This is my favorite scene.
So then Paquita comes to Lionel. She comes at the house, and he's like, "Oh man, I got to tell you, like, my grandmother, like, redid the tarot reading, and all this bad stuff's going to happen." And at this point, like, the mother, Vera's back in bed because she's sick again.
Paquita's brought a dog.
Paquita's brought a dog. The dog's been in a couple of scenes, a big German Shepherd.
Yep. Yep.
And the dog runs upstairs into Vera's room and you hear, like, the dog attack Vera. And they're like, oh, my God.
Yep.
So they run upstairs and they go in the room and there's blood everywhere and Vera's on the ground all mangled up and you think, oh, no, the dog's attacked her. And then you see a little bit of fur sticking out of her mouth.
Oh, this scene's great.
And then what happens?
Okay, so then Lionel proceeds to pull out this little bit of fur, which then becomes this party trick of just continuously pulling out fur until he pulls out a complete dog tail from her mouth.
No, that was the whole dog.
Was it the whole dog?
It was the whole dog crushed down. So it's like, that thing when people pull out that party trick where they pull out...
Like the hanky?
The Englund hanky. And it shows it because it's out of a dummy. It just keeps pulling out this length of dog. And she's like, your mother ate my dog! And
he's like... just turns around and he's like, not all of it.
Yeah, and then it cuts. Yeah. Oh, man, so good. So then she's wounded, obviously, by this dog attack or whatever the fuck's happening. They call the nurse.
Yep.
And the nurse comes here, who ends up being quite a character, the nurse.
I love it.
She, so then, or does she fall down the stairs?
The mother falls down the stairs.
She lunges.
Tries to attack Lionel.
She tries to attack Lionel. They roll down the big stairs into the foyer of the house. They call the nurse. The nurse comes, and then basically the mum dies in Lionel's arms. Paquita's gone upstairs to try and pack a bag. Because she's going to go to the hospital. And then...
I really enjoyed that the nurse just turns around and she's like, your mother's dead, Lionel. That's it. Just deadpan, your mother's dead,
Lionel. Like, like they say. I like the fact this is a small town, so everyone knows each other's names and everything. Like, say the nurse knows who he is and knows how mothered he is, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like, and then we start... This is when the whole film starts, basically. You see her going, your mother's dead, Lionel. You see Vera come up from behind her, grab her from behind, but instead of just grabbing her head, she puts her fingers under her skin and around the front of her face. And you're like...
It looks amazing.
And starts shaking her head and then rips her head backwards off of her torso. Not the whole way off. Just so it's also like when you open a can and you keep the lid on it.
Yep. It's just kind of like... stuck there hanging. Meanwhile, like, Paquita's still upstairs. Like, every so often she kind of pops her head out and she's like, what toothbrush? Like, do you want the blue toothbrush or the green toothbrush? While, like, all this weird zombie attack is starting to happen.
Yeah, and he's like still answering though to try and keep the...
Yeah, he's like, the green!
While getting strangled by a zombie. Green one! So then, suddenly then now instantly the nurse sits up and now she's a zombie as well. So the zombie transformation once you get killed by the zombie is instant in this film, which I love because it makes it there's no like... The rat monkey one obviously is a slow transformation, but then like if you get killed by a zombie, there's no explanation. You know what I mean? No. You don't have to get bitten. You just have to get killed by them and you turn into one and that's fine. So now there's two zombies got to deal with. And has this scene, so this is where the continuity of this film starts coming into it. So this nurse has her head as a flip-top lid kind of thing. So he grabs a porcelain duck off of the wall and ninja stars it at the nurse's head, which sticks into her head, which knocks her head backwards off, but it's still attached. So it's like going...
So then we're hearing this, this disgusting gurgling sound, but while we also have the... viewpoint of the nurse from kind of upside down spinning around trying to get to Lionel to attack.
You have to see
all... absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you have to see all these scenes. As I said, the continuity is perfect. There's never a time in this movie I looked at it and went like, oh yeah, I can see that's a person, out of shot or, you know what I mean? Like how they've done the effects. So many of them are good. So he's just gone to town on making sure that this just exactly looks like a person without a head with their head off. I don't even know how they did half these scenes. I actually don't.
No.
Because I don't think there's no computer graphics in this film. There's
No,
none.
this is all practical effects. And I'm definitely hoping that YouTube or something has like a making of, because I would love to post this,
Dude,
because
it would be
I
like,
personally want to watch it.
it'll be like 4 hours. There was like
I would watch that.
Yeah, we got to get through this. If we stop talking, it'll be like a 17-hour podcast. So then Lionel basically kind of wrangles them both of them and ditches them down into the basement of his house, which has a big steel door, and locks them into the basement.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Paquita comes down and goes, "Where's your mother?" He goes, "Oh, they've already gone to the hospital." And she goes, "Okay, cool."
Yeah.
So she leaves. Then and then where we get? Oh, then we get the Lionel is now like, it cuts to a scene with Lionel outside skulking around, and he goes to a vet.
Yes. He goes to a vet for some sedatives.
Yeah, because he wants to he doesn't want to kill his mother. He wants to just sedate her. So he goes to a vet, which is a Nazi vet.
Yeah, he's like, I'm like from Latvia, and I'm like, yeah, Latvia, Germany, you're escaping something.
Yeah, and then later on you see like he's got a rip in his vet uniform, and there's a Nazi logo under it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he gives him tranquilizers. It's a pretty funny scene. It's worth having a look at.
Yeah.
But anyway, he gets tranquilizers because he's going to trank his mother. Then we get the scene where he sedates them. He dresses up. He dresses up
cricket gear?
Yeah, cricket gear. Yeah, he basically armors up. He goes down with a big syringe, and he syringes the nurse in her eyeball.
Yep.
And then so they sedate down, and then the mum as well. He syringes her up her nose. So
up your nose, mother.
So then the whole thing is him like still not letting go of his mother. Like he keeps it. So now he's got 2 zombies sedated in his basement.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of sitting there.
Saturday.
I think he ties them up onto seats. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're just sitting there just going like, "Ooh." So then Lionel visits the old lady, the old grandmother, and goes like, "Tell me about this darkness." And she gives him an amulet, and the amulet is in the shape of that symbol, which is the star and the crescent moon, a golden amulet which will keep him safe.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Right, I'm just smashing through these bits until we get to gore bits.
Yep. So the mother's escaped at this point. So she's followed him to the grocery store where Lionel is with Paquita and the Nonna. And they're basically like going through all this stuff. They're asking, "How's your mum?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, good." Meanwhile, she's outside just getting hit by a tram, and it's fucking hilarious because she gets hit by a tram, and it's basically like they've just grabbed a giant mannequin and thrown it through the front window of the grocery shop.
Yeah, so she is, because she's following Lionel, isn't she? Because she's scared. Yeah, and she's like, "Ooh!" Yeah, and her tram just goes past, hits into her, and smashes her into the store where they are.
Yeah.
And basically, so now everyone knows that Lionel's mother is dead. They just think she's dead because she's just got knocked out. So it cuts to now another amazing scene, the funeral scene.
Now we've got the funeral scene. So the music playing in the background as they're heading into the church is the Sodomy song from Meet the Feebles.
Which is a fucked film, which is also a Peter joke. Man, he was fucked in his early years, wasn't he?
Yeah, very interesting how he's gone from that to Lord of the Rings.
Well, it's the same with Sam Raimi. Was the same. He was like full Evil Dead and gore, and went on to do Spider-Man and all this shit. All these horror people like suddenly got really good jobs as they stay in the industry because they're all visionaries. They're all people who know how to get shit done.
Yep, and on a budget too.
Yeah, true. Here we get.
Then we're introduced to Uncle Les, who is just gross. He is disgusting.
He's a big fat kind of an Elvis fan, would you call him? Like if you're going to describe him, like his look is very Elvis Presley, but he's just a big fat gross uncle. Yeah,
so it's the look of the day. Imagine Mick Taylor with about 300 pounds on him.
Yeah, he's got the quiff, he's got cold sores, and he's like, "How you going, Lionel?" Like he speaks. He basically sluts onto Paquita, so he's like a creep as well at the funeral.
Yep.
So and then so we're introduced to him. He comes into it later on.
He's disgusting.
Then we get the embalming scene.
I love the embalming scene.
So Lionel Vera's getting embalmed just before the funeral, which doesn't make any sense, but that's fine. He sneaks in because he realizes she's a zombie. He needs to tranquilize her again so she doesn't wake up. Trying to keep the facade going that it's like his mum's not a zombie.
Yep. Meanwhile, like, she's being pumped with all these weird chemicals that are sort of just cycling through her body and making her pulsate. And, like, she just starts, like, pussing out everywhere.
Yeah, so she's on, like, the embalming machine, and they accidentally keep her on for too long, and the embalming staff run in and go, "You left her on for too long again!" And also, one of the embalming staff is Peter Jackson.
It is Peter Jackson, yes.
Again, he's laughing, like he's just a weird embalmer.
And then, like, her eyes pop out, and, like, they're trying to, like, stick him back in, and...
It's great scene. It's gross. It's more that...
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Anyhow, Lionel doesn't get the opportunity he doesn't get the opportunity to sedate his mother. Because they come in. Anyhow, she gets put into a coffin, and the funeral starts. This gives Lionel a time to, trying to open the casket and try and give his mother a sedation. Meanwhile, the funeral's going. We're introduced to the preacher, who's an amazing Australian. I think he's an Australian character.
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
He's just a no shits given. Can't be fucked preacher. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Come on, let's do this.
We've got to get this done in the next 10 minutes, or you won't be saying goodbye to your mother.
Yeah, kind of thing.
Whatever. Of course, during this time, so he started, and then at this point, Lionel's still trying to get to his mother through the coffin. She breaks out. Fight ensues.
This is all behind. No one can see this. Like, the coffin is in.
You can't see this until they smash through the window, and then she's just kind of laying there. Yeah,
as she comes towards him, he gets the syringe finally into her and sedates her, but they fall smash through into the funeral, like, with everyone there. So it just looks like to everyone at the funeral that Lionel's got his mum out and he's hugging his mum's dead corpse. As in, he can't let go because he's like the mummy's boy. And they all believe that because he is such a mummy's boy.
It's true. At one point as well, you overhear someone talking that Lionel is the sole beneficiary of his mother's estate, which means that gross Uncle Les has got a plan up his sleeve.
He overhears that and goes, all right, then we cut to... Oh, man, there's so many good scenes. And no, so now we cut to... this film's scenes just keep amping up. Do you notice? It starts really, really slow, this film.
Yeah, then it just goes to 100.
I do feel its pacing is a bit out. That's my main thing with this film is, like, it feels really long. Because, like, there are so many scenes that would be the main scene in any other film. But, like, they keep amping up and up and up and up and up. And every scene gets more gross and more horror-like as it goes on.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's my only thing. Is it does feel really long and it's got some weird pacing. It feels like it's got, like, 4 acts, this film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyhow.
So now they're in the cemetery.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Because now
Lionel is planning to dig up his mum.
And sedate her again. Because, like, he's still trying to keep the charade going. Yeah. I think he's just trying to dig her up and take her back home and sedate her and put her back in the basement.
I think so, yeah. Of course, there's a group of teddy boy punks come out.
Teddy boy? I call them greasers.
Greasers? Yeah, teddy boy, greaser, it's the same kind of deal. They come to beat him up. One of the punks decides to start pissing on the grave, and he's like, that's my mum's grave that you're pissing on. Of course, Vera, being half dug up, rips his dick off and starts turning them all into zombies.
See what? This is one of the scenes that suffers from the modified version. So in the original version of this, the greasers are like, "What's this guy doing? Digging up a couple of stiffs?" He goes, "I think he's one of those dudes that roots corpses, and one of those necrophiliacs." And that's why in this, and then they're like, "You trying to fuck your mum?" Or whatever, fuck some corpses. And that's why in the next scene, she grabs his dick, pulls him down, and then in the next scene, it looks like he's fucking the grave. Because that's it makes him into fucking the corpse. Because she's attacking him from underneath. It makes him look like he's fucking, but there's blood coming out everywhere. And so that's where that's what that joke was. That, like, he ends up fucking, the greaser ends up fucking a corpse. Like, or makes it look like. And he gets, like, smashed. She throws him over onto all the other greasers, knocks him over. He's dead. But, of course, instantly, he comes back as a zombie.
Yep. Zombie punks must die. Come on.
Zombie punks must die. And then we get so there's all this noise happening. And then we get the preacher comes out and he goes, "What's all this bloody noise happening here?"
It's like you guys could use some divine intervention.
And then we get one of the greatest scenes of all time. The priest goes into kung fu fights all the zombies like with kung fu kicking, and he has this amazing line where he's like, "I kick ass for the Lord." Actually, I've got it right here. I'll just play it. Wait up.
I kick ass for the Lord.
Yeah, and goes into this montage of him just like kicking, kung fu kicking all these zombies because they're all zombies now.
Yes.
He's ripping off their arms. He's sweep kicking their legs off, kicking their heads off, and it's a hilarious scene. Like, it's amazing.
Yes, but then all good things must come to an end, and poor Rev is impaled. Well, first he gets giant statue.
First he gets bitten by one of the heads that he's kicked off.
Yes.
And then he gets impaled. So then he turns into a zombie as well. So what does Lionel do? Of course, he takes them all home, sedates them, and puts them into his. I think actually 2 of the zombies got killed because they got totally bodily dismembered. So it's only one of the greasers, the main greaser.
Yeah.
So now he has a nurse zombie, his mother zombie, the preacher zombie, and the greaser zombie tied up, sedated in his basement.
Well, he has breakfast for them.
Exactly.
So they have a zombie breakfast. So they're tied up at the kitchen table. At one point, they're all trying to eat whatever it is that they're eating. The greaser zombie, like, shoves the spoon too far into his mouth and gets it, like, out the back of his head. The nurse nicks her head back, so then he's basically just, like, pouring bits of breakfast through her zombie neck hole. Meanwhile, the Rev is starting to get, like, handsy, and he's basically just, like, given the nurse a bit of a grope. And then, of course, Gross Uncle rocks up.
Yeah, so he has to... But there are so many ideas in this dinner scene, which is stupid. Like, he's feeding them the sedation liquid in dinner.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a zombie dinner table thing. Because when it starts off, the nurse is eating it, and like because her head isn't attached, it all starts pouring out of her neck, and then her head falls. So like, there's so many ideas, and like there's so many ideas, and then when her head falls back, doesn't like the other zombie grab her half-eaten food from her neck stump and start eating it, and shit like that, and it's just crazy continuity, like these ideas that are just like would have been so hard to do, and it's just wicked. But as you said, Uncle Les rocks up at this time, so Lionel like locks him in the kitchen and starts talking to Les in the foyer of his house.
Yeah.
And
so Les is basically discussing like, oh, your mum was going to put me in the will, she just never got round to it. Like, what can you do to me? We're family, we should stick together. He's not quite blackmailing him yet, but he's getting to the point where he's going to start being an absolute dick about it.
And then we hear sex noises from the kitchen.
Because of course we do. Because there's zombies having sex.
Yeah, the two zombies, the nurse and the preacher, are now having some sex. We don't see it, thank God. But then, Les leaves thinking like Lionel's watching pornos.
Is she watching your dad's stag movies?
Yeah, and he goes, I understand some things men have to do alone.
That's so gross.
Is that the one with the donkey and the chambermaid? Anyhow, so like Les leaves, Lionel goes back into the kitchen. He has to pull them off of each other, the preacher, and so this is more continuity. She's like, they're kissing, but she's biting the preacher's lips and it pulls his lips off, and then she eats his lips. Yep. So then he has like no lips on his face for the rest of the film.
Yep. So he basically takes them all back down to the basement, and then obviously the scene cuts with the nurse. You can sort of see something rumbling in her belly.
Yeah, her belly's just suddenly getting bigger, like she's pregnant. Which is fine. Like I just told you, they're zombies. We don't know how they work. Yep. And then
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So then
Lionel dumps Nikita.
Yeah. So while this is happening, Lionel goes because it's all getting too much for him. He realizes he can't have a relationship with like all this shit going down. Like he's got 4 corpses to look after, so he goes and tries to dump Paquita. Mm-hmm. That's basically the whole scene.
Yep.
And
like a chump.
Yeah, like an idiot. He just wants to protect her kind of thing as well, because he's surrounded with darkness and all this shit and death and destruction.
Yeah. And he loves her. It's a shame.
Cut back to
she's a delight.
Lionel's back down in the basement, and one of the lady zombies on the ground, and the radio starts playing. He goes over to the radio, and a little tiny claw bursts out of it. And then he's like, what? And the radio falls on the ground, and then he picks up and pulls out of it a zombie baby, which is still attached by its umbilical cord.
Yep.
So now we have a zombie baby. Cut to a scene in the park where he has decided to take the baby for a walk in a pram.
So this scene, so the film came in under budget, and Peter Jackson decided that he was going to use that money, and he did this scene. So he made this scene with the remaining money that they had left over, which is his favourite scene in the film, and possibly one of my favourites.
Yeah, apart from the ending. This is the funniest scene in the film.
Yep. So he takes the baby for a walk through the park in a pram. He's not sure what to do. Like, the baby's there to sort of, making baby
and
noises,
he's got like barbed wire so it can't get out. Like, he's made like an Alcatraz kind of fence in there so the baby can't get out the pram.
And at this point as well, like, Lionel's looking pretty disheveled, and he's looking around, and he sees this lady. She's like gently like rocking the pram, so he starts doing it. Next minute, the pram goes off down the hill. Lionel goes running after it.
And this is a crowded park with all people in it, so they see this like baby just flying down the hill.
Yeah, so the baby starts rolling down the hill, and then there becomes this huge sort of very Looney Tune-esque scene between the two of those where he's now chasing the baby, and at one point, like, he's punching the baby in the face, and then the baby's just like...
The baby's flying through the air as well. Like there's where the baby climbs up a seesaw and he falls on the other end of the seesaw. The baby flies into a roof and then falls on the ground, and then straight from that, the bike hits the baby. Like, all things that would kill the baby, but it doesn't because it's a zombie, and like knocks the dude off his bike. And then, he swings like the swing into the baby's face. All this time, these two mothers are just watching him beat the shit out of this baby. He like grabs it by its legs and just slams it onto the ground and stuff, and then punches it. And it's so funny. Like, the fact that he's doing it in front of all these mothers, he just beats the fuck out of this baby who's fighting back with him.
Yeah. Basically, he wrestles it back into the bag. This is obviously a bad idea. He's got to get home. Wrestles it back into the bag, and he kind of just looks at the ladies like, hyperactive.
And they're like, oh, comedy fucking gold is what I wrote. That shit is such a... And what I said, it's an unneeded scene, but it's needed. You know what I mean? Like,
it was needed.
It's such a good... Yeah. Anyhow.
Because Lionel's just he's trying to do the right thing. So there's a baby, he's going to look after the baby. But how the fuck do you look after a zombie baby? No zombie baby don't eat the other children. This is a comedy of errors, and I love it. Yeah,
it's great. Anyhow, while he was out, this actually works really well. Because while he was out, Uncle Les came back to the house, probably to do some dodgy work, and he finds all the zombies down in the basement. But because they're sedated, he just thinks they're corpses. That he is some kind of Norman Bates psycho that's collecting corpses. And he's like, I'm going to I have to report you, Lionel, unless you want to give me
Yeah.
So
this is like, you want the money, you want the house.
Ooh, losing you there, Jen. Are you there?
I'm here.
Oh dear, yeah. I'll just continue for a while, and then he's like, he goes, "You want the house? You can have the house if you don't say anything." So he gives the house over to Les, and then and that's all great and good. Then all of a sudden, later on that night, all these people, there's a knock at the door, and there's all these Australian and New Zealand party dudes are there. Are you there, Jen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, cool. You're back. He's given the house to the uncle, and the uncle has decided to throw a party straight away. So all these, it would be like 50 or 100 people rock up, and a party breaks out.
Yeah. They've all got crates of long necks as well, which is very Australian.
Yeah.
It's very New Zealand, very Australian.
Yeah,
African culture, yeah.
Crates of long necks. Your mic is very dying, Jen. I think your internet's having a bit of problems.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry, guys.
Oh, no. It's back now. Okay, cool.
Okay, good.
So there's parties happening in the house. There's all people, they have wooden crates of long neck beers, which is I hadn't seen crates of long neck beers since I was a kid. So, seeing that is just whoa, that's crazy. So, they're all drinking. All the girls are in, dresses and stuff, and they're all partying.
Listening to their rockabilly and getting all down.
Yeah, they're and it's wicked. It's a pretty cool party. I would have actually liked to have been at that party.
Yeah, same. I would have had a long neck.
Meanwhile, what happens here?
So Paquita's on a date. It cuts to Paquita and the bacon boy. They're on a date, walking past the house. She notices that the lights are all on. There's party music happening. She's a little bit like, what the fuck? Meanwhile, Bacon Boy's just banging on about his potential cricketing career. I don't know. She's had enough and just basically bails on him. He sort of stands and looks around, notices she's not there, kind of puts his hands in his pockets and just starts to stroll away like nothing happened.
Yeah, because he's all about himself. He was an idiot.
So Paquita rocks up to the house. Old mate Uncle Les is there. He's decided he wants a little bit of this lovely Latin lady that he keeps referring to her, and she kind of just kicks him in the balls.
Yeah, there's a lot of ball kicking and that thing.
And then runs off and hides in the basement.
Yeah.
Where the zombies are.
Yeah, well, she runs off and hides in the basement. She finds all the sedated zombies. Lionel's there, and she's like, oh my God, death surrounds you. So she knows now that there's these zombies, and she's like, you can't keep sedating them. You got to let them go. You got to kill them. You know? And so then we get this quite sad scene of like him having, they find some poison instead of tranquilizer, and he injects all the zombies with poison, and they go to sleep, and he basically has to kill his mum. And it's quite a sad scene.
He buries them all, you know, it is sad.
Yeah, and then they bury them in the basement, which is like...
Yeah.
Anyhow, he goes back up to the party, and then Uncle Les tries to slut onto Paquita. They get into a fight, Lionel and Les. Uncle Les. Then throws him down into the basement and locks him in there.
Mm-hmm.
As Lionel...
And then tries to get a little bit rapey with Paquita.
Oh, yeah, he's a rapist. He's fucked. While Lionel's lying in the basement, you know, all beaten up, he looks over and he sees the poison that he poisoned all the zombies with and killed them, and it rolls over to him, and he just sees it's not poison, it's actually animal stimulant.
Oh,
and then
do you know what that means?
You hear a rumbling, and then we get one of those shots that, you know, I forgot what this shot, the shot is, where they zoom in at the same time as moving the camera, so you see like... Oh,
I love, I
don't know what they're called.
Jaws.
Yeah,
me neither, and I love that. That's
the
one of my
Jaws,
favorites.
that's the Jaws shot, like a rumbling, him realizing, and suddenly all these super zombies burst out of the ground with like lights and ribbons and streamers. They're like
super zombie go fast.
Super zombies, and the baby like flies out of the ground, and as he's running out, he just kicks the baby as he's leaving, it footballs the baby away. I thought that was kind of funny. So he runs out and he's like, we got to get out of here. And they're like, what are you going on about, mate? And then suddenly we get one of the starting of it's kind of like, this is what I call first wave gore fest. The rest of this film now is like 7 films worth of gore and ideas. It is crazy. The only film that has ever come close to this is probably Dusk Till Dawn, the end of that.
Yeah.
But it's still, in my opinion, it's still 3 times as much as Dusk Till Dawn. Like, great.
Well, the final scene, they used 300 gallons of blood.
How much is gallons? That's like 2.5 litres, isn't it?
So I think so. It's a lot of blood.
Yeah, so that's like, it's nearly 1,000 litres of blood. Mm-hmm, that is so much, eh? Anyhow, the gore fest starts. We have like the 4 zombies run out, and so the first wave is just the zombies killing the majority of the people at the party. We have like all these like shots that like we could just go into it. There are so many. One of them is just like they grab one of the people and they grab their face and he pull his whole face off.
Rips his face off.
Yeah, like pulling, stabbing, ripping their arms into people and pulling out their hearts and showing them. Like, it just goes on and on.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is wicked. Like, so then...
Yeah, like...
Oh, man. And then Uncle Les, like, bails at this time. And
he's like, help us! Bugger that.
And he jumps out the window, and so he's outside. This is where the continuity of this movie starts working. You have to know where all the characters are at certain times. Yeah. Uncle Les runs out into the backyard. We have Paquita and Rita lock themselves in the kitchen.
Yes. And then Paquita's in the cupboard and then she finds Rita.
Yeah. And then we have Lionel. He's kind of like roguing around by himself just throughout the whole house.
Yes.
And that's kind of
because there's a scene at one point before Lionel and Paquita get. There's a scene where the zombies got Lionel, and Paquita is cutting the zombie's hands off with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, there's so much gore.
The
happening.
hand then proceeds to like climb up Lionel's nose and face, and then starts picking his nose.
Yeah,
which is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's not like shit comedy, and it's quick.
No.
Everything in this is so quick. Like every shot, every cut has a special effect in it that is in there for like 1 second, and then it's gone, and it just keeps on going and going and going. There is a scene in this shot which is taken out. Which, it's like one of the characters later on that gets his head chopped off and then a garden gnome stuck in it. His character is running away for some zombies and then just says a line like, yeah, some of my best friends are pedophiles. Like, as in, like, there must have been a conversation when they were talking about pedophiles, and, like, it just ends that. So I call him, that character, the pedophile.
Yeah, that's fair.
And because he's in it a fair lot, like, kind of. Anyhow, so that's the first wave of all the guests getting killed. Then it cuts to, like, the main room, and you see all the dead guests all sit up at once. So now we've just got this is wave 2. We've got a whole house of, like, 80 zombies or whatever. With, like, and then all we have is, there are some more survivors.
Yes.
So there's, like, a bunch of survivors in a kitchen and stuff like that. But then, so this is them now getting kind of, like, killed off kind of thing.
Yeah, because this is the point where, like, Lionel's in the middle of the foyer, surrounded by all these people, and he's trying to run away, but there is so much blood on the floor that he's just, like, running on the spot.
Like full Looney Tunes.
Yeah, and it isn't until he starts jumping on, like, the head and this disembodied arm and, like, jumping on all of the, like, little bits of people that's around that he can actually, like, escape and get away.
Yeah, it's a scene of him basically playing The Floor is Lava and he's treading on body parts to get across. It's so amazing. And then, and we also get, like, there's a couple of really amazing shots. There's a shot in there where they're in the kitchen, they're trying to pull this dude through, like, what's one of those food server windows?
It's a dumbwaiter.
A dumbwaiter. And they pull him through, and just from the waist down, he is just a skeleton. And
yes. Oh, that looks so good.
I think that dude he might be an amputee, because, like, it's too good.
It's real good.
Yeah, and you see him on the ground with just his, like, legs, like, as skeletons, but his, like, feet and boots are still normal. Like, so
his shoes and socks are still on. It's not a problem. There's what the fuck happened. Don't even ask.
He's actually one of the floor is lava things that Lionel steps on later on as well. Like, and he grabbed.
Yeah.
So all this is happening. There's like shit going everywhere. There's like constant ideas, like constant everywhere. So we've got.
Uncle Les is in the tool shed holding his own, and then I think the zombie without the face comes in, and he, like, gets him in a headlock, pulls out these pliers, and then
That's the preacher,
as the preacher starts fucking pulling his teeth out, which, that was the only point in the movie that I was just like, nah.
He goes, you got a bit of a cavity problem there, mate. And he starts, so Les is sadistic, so he starts, like, enjoyingly torturing all the zombies.
Oh, he's having a right old time.
Yeah. Then we get, like, where are we at? Then we get, like, there's a shot of in the kitchen. So this is kind of a vital bit as well. And we see there's, like, another zombie lady in there with Rita and Paquita. And this lady grabs Rita and bites her just lightly. Mm-hmm. Paquita grabs her and slams her against the wall onto a light bulb. And so she starts getting electrocuted. And then she's just stuck on the wall in a light bulb with her head glowing from electricity. And she's just stuck on there.
She becomes a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, like a jack-o'-lantern.
Glorious.
So she's just there. Yeah. But that character that zombie comes into play later on. And then
there's a garden shears decapitation. So Uncle Les, like, he's making his way back to the house. So he's got this pair of garden shears, puts it through someone's mouth, and then decapitates.
That's the pedophile. So we see the pedophile get bitten earlier on. So the pedophile comes up and he garden shears off the top of his head. So, like, from through his mouth. So all he is now is just a head with these top bit of teeth. And that character is comedy. Like, he keeps on rocking out. And then Les shoves a garden gnome. So his body's still walking around with just the bottom half of his head. He shoves a garden gnome into the top of his head. So he's this character that's walking around with a garden gnome sticking out. Oh man,
It's glorious. It's all over the place.
Then we cut to like Lionel's locked himself in the bathroom, and the greaser zombie is trying to get in, and he's smashing his way through the bottom of the door. Lionel stamps on him and chops him in half using, like, he's halfway through the door, using the wood splinters of the door. So then the zombie greaser now is two characters. He has his legs walking outside of the room, and he is like the top half. The top half of him jumps at Lionel and attacks him in the bath, but then his guts falls out on the ground. And then his guts becomes a character. So now the greaser zombie is three characters. He has the top half of himself, the bottom half of himself, and a sentient set of like gizzards that are just sliming around, attacking people. Like, oh my God, the ideas are just crazy in this film. Lionel escapes the guts by like climbing. He ditches the now very light top half of the zombie into the toilet. He gets stuck in the top of the toilet. And then Lionel climbs into the ceiling cavity of the roof through like a manhole and to escape the guts, which is now attacking him like with lasso organs and shit.
Yeah, see, even the lassoing and because it had a very sort of thing vibe to it with how it was attacking him and reaching up itself, and it's like, oh, this is very well done.
Yeah. The fact that these ideas were like executed and worked are crazy. Like the fact that character just became three characters, because Lionel tries to escape at one stage, he tries to get out the bathroom, and the legs kick him in the face, like the bottom half, and he goes back in and gets in the roof. Oh,
then
man.
It becomes very Monty Python-esque.
Yeah. So now we've got Lionel in the. So then what happens next?
There's so much happening at this point.
Then Lionel in the roof finds a chest, which he didn't know was up there, and in it is the corpse of his father, and what he finds out is his father's lover, and he finds out his mum Vera murdered his dad because he was cheating on her this whole time and kept the truth away from him.
Yeah, so we learn early on, so basically in the zoo scene, we learn that Lionel's not a fan of water because he almost drowned as a kid. His dad saved him, but his dad was washed away by a rogue wave and drowned.
But that's how he was told.
Now we've just... so that's what he knew his whole life. But now he's being told... He finds out that, obviously, his dad had a mistress. The mum found out, killed him, killed the mistress.
Yeah, drowned them, and then he walked in and saw them getting drowned, and that's the memory he's got. He got changed, though. Anyhow, so the mum's a piece of shit, basically. Anyhow, the mum still hasn't... The mum never rose when she was like...
No.
She's still in the cellar underground. Like, she never came out because she was too sedated or whatever, too far gone. So it was only the baby, the nurse, the preacher, and the greaser that came out. So we've never seen Vera. She's still underground at this point. Then we get a hilarious scene of the baby in the kitchen. So the baby rocks up in the kitchen, and we get this hilarious Looney Tunes like series of ridiculous events with the baby flying across the room. The baby gets thrown around so much. They do everything possible they can to a baby that you can't do in real films. So she hits it with a saucepan across the room, and it puts like a baby
and
face,
it has the face
in the saucepan, like the imprint of it and stuff. And I think eventually the baby then just gets like tossed out the window, and then the baby gets hit out the window and then hits Les in the balls.
Yes, Les gets kicked in the balls so many times.
It's amazing,
and every time is well deserved.
Then Les goes like, "Let me in," and like they let Les into the kitchen through the window. So now Les and Rita and Paquita are in the kitchen. Lionel is in the ceiling still.
Yes, he's being chased by entrails.
He's been chased by the guts. The guts grabs him. He wrestles with the guts. He falls through the roof, but he gets entangled with a cord. At the same time, while they're in the kitchen, the zombie that is on the light bulb smashes the light bulb out of the wall. He's still attached to the light bulb and tries to attack Les, but it gets stopped by the cord of the light kind of thing. It's hard to explain. As Lionel falls, he gets caught on a cord, which He's hanging in the foyer, but as that pulls down, that pulls the zombie, which is the same cord, back onto the wall. So there's this hilarious continuity of this like house as this character almost of like how all this shit's working out. So the writing this would have been crazy. Like every character is affecting like the other characters. Like
Yeah.
it's so good and it works so well. Like yeah, and then so Lionel's hanging upside down. Oh, there's shit happening.
So he loses his amulet at one point. The amulet falls down into a bunch of entrails as well. Because I think at one point, like he's trying to pull himself up. Because he notices that Paquita is in the kitchen. She's struggling with all the zombies are coming. So he's trying to pull himself up. Loses his balance. Falls back down again, basically explodes a zombie's head by hitting it in the head with his head.
Like he bungee jumps down and his head hits basically a zombie in the head and explodes it. And then he flies out the window. He goes outside.
Yes.
Yeah, so
he goes outside.
So Lionel's outside. We don't know where he is. Les, then it cuts to Les in the kitchen and he goes crazy.
Yeah, he's a slicing and a dicing. He's doing everything he's
got two cleavers and he goes, I've read the comics, total bodily dismemberment. And there's this montage of him just going, just going crazy with arms and limbs flying. But he basically takes out like 25 zombies, piles them up into a thing and kills them all in one go. Like crazy.
Yes.
Crazy gore. You have to see it to believe it.
And then Rita.
Well, then...
Famous Rita.
Well, then then Les goes down into the basement to hide.
Yes.
And then we see, like, the ground shake, and then you see, like, Les look around and go, oh, no, Vera! And so Vera's come out now. We don't know what Vera looks like. I'm just going to say, she kills Les. She basically rips
his spine out.
Yeah, does a Sub-Zero to him, rips his head and his spine out. We don't see it, though. We only see it in shadow kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she's big. We don't know how big she is. There's something going on with her. Where am I up to in my notes? So Les gets killed by Super Vera, I've written.
Yeah. Mega zombie mother.
Yeah, Paquita is now in the foyer. She's about to get it. All the zombies have, crowded around her. She's lying down. She's about to get eaten. She's still got Rita with her. They're cowering in the middle of the room, surrounded by zombies. And suddenly, then we get this hilarious scene where the pedophile's head gets kicked into the room and it slides along the floor. And then like something happens. Yeah, and it looks so good. It looks like an actual top of a head. It's still animated and looking around. And then
whole time.
Then that gets, because there's so much blood on the ground, it's sliding around. Then that gets hit again and that slides over to the front door. Then the front door gets slammed open. The head gets slammed, kicked over again. Yeah. And then we see Lionel standing there holding a lawnmower, which we actually foreshadowed earlier on in the film. There was this lawnmower that he was mowing the lawn with it. And he's just like, party's over. So there's like all the zombies look at him. That gives Paquita and Rita opportunity to run into the kitchen. She takes up the blender and she grabs the pedophile's head and puts his head, the top, into the blender and blends that down to nothing.
And it looks so good.
Yeah.
Even just that moment where the head is in the blender and you can see it in the blender and it's looking around and looking a little bit panicked and she turns it on.
Yeah,
it's just perfect.
So she starts blending all the smaller organs down to nothing to get rid of them. And then we have Lionel turn on the lawnmower and have an actual scene of him holding a lawnmower in front of him. He's got a strap around it, so he's wearing it like a weapon. And a whole room full of zombies, all with their arms out towards him, and him walking through with a lawnmower. Fuck, it's crazy, hey?
It is a bloodbath.
You see, like, all these, like, arms actually like going into a lawnmower blade, like, because they're holding their arms out like zombies. You see them all getting mashed and him walking through this crowd and there's blood going everywhere and limbs flying everywhere. And then you see him get to the other side of the room and he's like covered in blood. looks around and then looks back, and he's just carved his way through, and there's just a whole still full room of it, and then it goes to this montage of him running through, smashing these zombies with a fucking lawnmower, holding it. Even to the point with the bit where they're on the ground, it shows him like pushing it down onto the ground, onto their faces and shit. It is crazy. There has been no film that's ever done anything like this. Ever.
No. And I even like the bit at one point he's sort of off against the wall, and the wall's got this clear spot. There's no blood or anything, but there is a print of the Queen Elizabeth on there. He turns it around, and just as he turns it around, he just gets splattered with blood. So he was protecting the picture of the Queen. It's not even blood.
It's like pink pus globules.
Yeah, it's just goo and shit and just fucking something.
My copy of this film, my original cut, it opens with the New Zealand flag, right? Mm-hmm. And then it has like the Queen's music, and then it cuts to a young shot of the Queen, and then it goes like New Zealand Film Corporation or whatever it's called, like Wingnut Films. And so so I think Peter Jackson was fully into the Queen at one stage, like the royal family, because he turns the Queen around and stuff like that. Then we oh my god, what the fuck? So then it goes to the kitchen, and we have Paquita blending all these arms and shit that are in the blender, and then all of a sudden Les comes in, zombie Les, and he's like on all fours kind of thing, with his head on the spine like a fucking what is it, like a fucking giraffe or some shit? Like his spine is up, so he looks like an animal with his head on there, and it goes to attack Rita, and then Paquita grabs it, rips off the spine, spits in his face, swings the spine and the head around, and smashes it on the counter, and his head just explodes like a watermelon.
It's perfect.
There is so much blood and gore in this scene. People, you have to watch this to believe it. This is crazy.
Yes, everybody needs to watch this.
Oh, man.
Everybody.
Even with us talking about it, we're spoiling it, but we are not even getting close to like the amount of ideas that are in this film. Like,
no.
I'm getting dizzy from talking so much.
So your shed would be probably heating up quite a lot by now as well.
Then we also get in the kitchen scene, all of a sudden Rita is sick on the ground still with her bite. Her face splits open, and the fucking zombie baby is inside of her head. And
she's having a giggle, ripping her face. I fucking love this.
Yeah, so she gets up, panicking with a zombie baby inside of her face controlling her. She runs and hits the zombie that's on the wall, which is the jack-o'-lantern one, which is all glowing orange, and basically sets the kitchen on fire.
Yes.
Yes. And then, and Paquita, does she turn the gas on and leave at that time?
Yeah, she turns the gas on, runs out, and the house kind of just goes up.
So we got a lot of fire in the house. Then we get, but there is a scene as well where finally Lionel kills all the fucking zombies, and there's a shot of him the whole room is full of blood and gore. He looks around, there's no one left. And then you see at the top of the stairs the fucking greaser zombie rocks up, and it's a classic scene because the greaser zombie is holding the top half of himself on his legs and using his hands to walk his own legs. I don't know how they did that. It looks amazing.
All of it looks amazing.
Yeah. The top half of the greaser zombie jumps onto Lionel from the top of the stairs, and it's on him. He falls over the lawnmower, rolls onto the ground. It's facing upwards. He wrestles the zombie and then throws the zombie onto the lawnmower, but it's not on. But it's upside down, and the half of the zombie is on top of the lawnmower. He goes to start the lawnmower, and then the zombie guts. The gizzards grabs him around the neck from up top of the roof. So he's fighting it. Yeah. He grabs a severed arm, which is just on the ground, and uses it to start the lawnmower. So then the zombie half is on the lawnmower spinning around, whoa, 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 because he's on the blade. Lionel grabs the zombie's hand, stops him, which and then makes him get grinded down into the lawnmower.
Oh, yes.
Fuck, it's amazing. And then, that's the end. Finally, the end of the top. That's finally the end of the top half of the zombie greaser. Then the guts gets thrown onto the ground, and he basically picks up the lawnmower, looks at the guts, and just lawnmowers the fuck out of the gizzard. So the gizzard character is now dead. It's amazing how it becomes 3 characters, eh? I think
and such prominent characters too.
At one stage in one of the versions as well, I don't know if it was in this version, Rita and Paquita rip the legs in half. So now they're separate legs.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that happens in one of the cuts. So there was, in this Dead Alive version, there's about 3 minutes of the end scene cut out, which is heaps. So yeah, they rip the legs in half, and that's why they're in 2 halves when he rocks up at the end. He's holding them both separately.
Sure.
But they're dead. Okay. The legs are dead now as well. So the 3 characters that came out of the greaser are now destroyed.
They're done.
Vera rocks up. I mean, Paquita rocks up, kisses Lionel, and he goes, "You got to get out of here." She's like, "Why?" She goes, "I haven't seen Mum yet." At that time, the foyer's ground shakes, and the mum bursts out, and holy shit, they've made her into, what did I call her? I called her.
Kind of looks like this overweight Vera,
naked giant super zombie Vera. I called her.
Yes, so and because she's also starting to sort of transform into more of the rat monkey, so her face has become elongated, kind of like the rat at the beginning of the film. So she's like mega zombie.
She's huge. She's like as tall as a house. She is as wide as a car kind of thing. She has gigantic saggy boobs and a big fat belly. She basically looks like a gigantic overweight grandma that's turning into a rat. It's hilarious. It's gross. Anyway, they fucking escape by climbing up the chimney, and Paquita and Lionel get onto the roof. She bursts up through the roof. Mm-hmm. This is getting to, be the finale kind of thing. He has a bit of a discourse with her. It's like, "All my life you lied to me. You killed my father." And he confronts his mother finally on the roof. At this stage, Paquita gets knocked off, and she's hanging off the side of the roof. Yes. And then Vera goes, "No one will love you like your mother." At that time, her chest opens up.
Oh,
and she hits like the house, which shakes and makes Lionel slip down back into her belly. So he gets unbirthed.
So she puts him back in the womb where he belongs.
Yeah.
This is where she's been trying to put him his whole life. He goes back in.
Yeah. So she goes over there and to knock Paquita off the roof, and suddenly she's like, "Ooh!" And we see Lionel's hand smash out of her belly, holding the amulet, using it as a weapon to cut himself out of her own belly.
And there is blood.
Oh, man, it fucking pours out. The chest cavity opens up. It waves out. It's a fucking wave of organs and guts, and he is covered in it. He's out. She fucking goes, "Oh!" Because the house is now 100% on fire. She rolls back. And you see a fucking undercarriage, which is gross, rolls back in slow motion and falls back into the house, into the flames, and she's dead. Oh my God. Lionel uses his belt, and they slide down so he gets Paquita and lifts her back up. They hug. He uses the belt to flying fox down from a power cable to the road. Yay, everyone is safe. You cut to a shot right at the end of the baby crying, the zombie baby crying in the fire.
Yeah.
Really weird, I thought, that shot.
Yeah. Possibly opening it up for a sequel, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know.
The zombie baby's not dead yet. Who knows?
And now the whole neighborhood rocks up. The fire brigade rock up. Paquita and Lionel. The house burns down. Everything's fucking great. House burns down with 100 people in it. It's fine, even though they would have found them in.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Lionel and Paquita kiss.
Happy ending.
End of film. Fucking hell.
Oh my God.
We literally talked about that for an hour.
Yes. It took me 4 hours to watch this film yesterday because everything started happening, and every time something happened, I had to pause.
Yeah, I had to keep pausing and writing down shit, because as soon as I started writing shit down, another thing would happen.
Yes.
Final thoughts, Jen?
Final thoughts. This film is fucking hilarious. I love this film so much. The designs, the effects, the puppetry, they're all insane. The gore is perfect. This film is it's practically perfect for me.
Yep.
Dan.
I've written like, wow, my favorite gore movie of all time. The amount of special effects in this film is boggling. The continuity at the end of this film is crazy. Like the storytelling and how every character is affecting each other, even though they're not in the same scene and stuff like that. In this house it's taken the zombie genre to like the highest level I think it's ever been. It's actually funny. Like the scenes are funny. It's actually gross in some scenes. I think it is one of the best horror comedies ever made. I think it is the best horror comedy. Like,
I will agree with you on that. I will make that statement with you.
Like, there aren't many good, like, there are horror comedies. So this is like, if you think of horror comedy, you think of stuff like Return of the Living Dead. It's like that, but like turned up to like 17,000, like, you know, on the gore and ideas meter. What did you give it for the rating system?
So I have given this an A. It is awesome and everybody should watch. This is also a classic film, and it's a beer and chicken wing film.
Yep, I gave it an A for everyone should watch. Awesome. And I gave it a B for beer and chicken wings group movie. I could have gone on yet as well. You're right. It is like a classic that is worth the watch. I suppose, like, 1992 definitely counts as classic. Anything that's over... We've got a rule at the diner that anything that's over 15 years old is counted as retro. 15 years is when it counts to it. So this is a classic. This is definitely a classic that you guys have to watch. Oh my God. Like, I'm glowing. I am... If you're a horror fan and you haven't seen Braindead AKA... My opinion will be try and get the Braindead version, because Braindead is the one with like the uncut. There is one called the Bloody version, which is the uncut version of Dead Alive. So you can get Dead Alive Bloody version, but there are ones out there that do have... You know you've got the ultimate version when it has the necrophilia joke and the pedophile joke. And I think the main cut of this film is like over 2 hours, like the long cut. So
wow. Because, this one's about an hour and a half.
It's an hour and 47, the one that I watched was.
Right.
But yeah, anyhow, we've done it. Oh, so this is hard. It's hard. It's hard to do films that you love. You end up getting... I get like, I talk so much. I get so excited that I get a bit flustered and dizzy.
And we get excited, we get flustered, we get dizzy. We've had a good time. You go light a cigarette and that's it.
Yeah, that is. I need it. Yeah, I need a cigarette. Lane, how was it for you, Jen?
Oh, it's about the same. Yeah, I got there.
Yeah. Anyhow, what's our movie for next week?
In all the panic and confusion, I didn't prepare for next week, but I'm thinking the weather is a bit warm. Hey, let's ruin the fuck out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The OG.
The OG. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Of course you have. I think we should check out Texas Chainsaw Massacre and ruin that for everyone.
Oh man, that will be actually like, because it is a classic in that. Not a lot happens in that film, hey. I mean, there is, but like it's not on the level of like us having to like have like 4 pages of dot points, like.
No.
But
I feel that we can still get a lot out of it, though.
Oh yeah.
And I'm definitely excited to be back in the shed with you next episode as well.
Oh yeah, it'll be so much better being back in the shed. What's his name that made that film? What's his name?
Turbo Hooper.
Hooper, yeah.
Hooper.
All right, cool. All right, take us out, man.
All right, so thank you so much. Like, guys, you've been listening to TerrorVision Horror Podcast with Dan and Jennifer. We're a podcast available on all streaming services: SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Please leave us a star rating, leave a comment, follow us. We're also available on the YouTubes. Ooh. Again, follow, thumbs up, comment, anything that you can help us to grow and be better. We have an Instagram at TerrorVisionPod. You can email us terrorvisionpod@gmail.com. Let us know if you want us to ruin a specific film for you. Anything you want to watch or discuss. We're also on Facebook, so jump on over. I love everyone on our Facebook page. They're so... it's such a little community that we're growing. I love it.
I reckon I'm going to announce that we're going to probably do a run of T-shirts as well, which you'll love, Jen.
Yes! Please.
And so... Also, if you want to check out my other stuff that I do, please check out Hack the Dino over on Twitch and on YouTube. We do a live stream every other Friday at 7 p.m. For casual hangs, chats. It's all about video games, nerdism, stupidity, fun variety video game show. Last night's was a schmozzle. I had to quickly botch up a a remote version because everyone couldn't come over because of the lockdown. And for one of the scenes, I forgot to put a mic on. It was a schmozzle. So check it out. It's up there on Twitch now and on YouTube if you want to have a good laugh. It was a very, last minute thing. But yeah, it was a great night. And remember, until next week, may all your dreams be nightmares.